Okay, so right now what we're gonna do is mix an entire song from start to finish. It is a more Latin song from my guy Kardec. There is a featured artist on it as well. I'll leave a link in the description for both of those people that are actually on the record and to the link to the record itself. What we're gonna do is we're gonna mix this song from start to finish, and that's really it. The record is called Verano. Sorry to people if I said that wrong, but it's called Verano, and we're just gonna mix it from start to finish. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you a lay of the land of the session to give you an idea of what it sounds like with the rough, as well as just kind of let you see what the layout of the session is and stuff like that. So let's get right to it. Okay. High in the corner. So long story short, this is the session. And at the very top of the session, we have the reference mix, which is basically the rough mix of what the client sent me that I know that they're listening to in the whole nine. Reason why I always ask the client for a rough mix is because I want to know what the client liked. I want to know what the client, the producer, all of these people enjoyed to get it to this point of mixing. I know that they all love their actual rough mix and stuff, and all I want to do is really improve upon it, clean things up, and make it better and enhance things. And make it more competitive in the commercial space. So at the very top, I have the rough mix that I'll be referring to back and forth just to see where I'm at. After that, I have the actual mix bus. This is where all the signals are hitting. Your 2-bus, master bus, whatever you want to call it. I have nothing on it right now. Next, I have drums. I start with the kicks, snares, percussion loops, drum fills, shakers, perks, crashes. After that, I then have a perk bus. So I have more than one drum bus, and I separate the processes. I put all my percussion instruments, which I know kicks and all that other stuff is percussion, but I put all those stuff that aren't kicks and snares into this particular bus. I'll explain why a little later. After that, I have the kick and snare bus. Basically, the kick and snare bus is just what it sounds like, kicks and snares, or claps, or rims, and things like that. And I have those separately. Reason why is because at any time during the mix, if I feel like, I want a little bit more center punch and out of the entire drum sound, then I know I can go right to my kick and snare and get more of that center focus and punch sound out of it. And if I want a little bit more width and overall just excitement and liveliness, then I know I can go to my perks and saturate them a little bit to give me more of that. So it just gives me a little bit more control to do things later down the line, or just in general to get more out of the mix from a control standpoint. I do have this feeding a drum bus, but we'll get to that a little later. But yes, I split up the drums into 2 different buses. Next, I have bass. Only have one bass here right now. I usually have that bass feeding a bass bus. We may or might not use it. Usually when I have multiple basses, I like to have a bass bus just in case I want to turn things down or up as far as the totality of the bass sound. But right now I only have one. To be honest, I don't even need this bass bus, but it's there. Just nothing, it's there. After basses, I really like to put pads. Reason why I like to put pads and stuff like that, or brass, is because they have a lot of like low-end material. So I like to keep my session like that from a sonic standpoint of frequency content, where I know this is more of that low-end stuff, so I'm paying attention to it. So that's where the pads are living. After pads, I have instruments, anything melodic, pianos, guitars, synths, and things of that nature. So as you can see, muted guitar, piano, synth chords, stuff like that. After that, I then have the sound effects. Those are things like transitions, impact sounds, those kind of things, swooshes and stuff like that. Those go right underneath. Now that we're done with the instruments, which you can see is all color-coded into this color, I then have vocals. I like to start with lead vocals or ad-libs. So at the very top, you see a bunch of lead vocals and ad-libs and stuff like that. What the client also sent, and just to give you a little bit of a backstory, Kardec is very trusting of me, and he asked me to try to mix the actual dry vocal that he recorded, so the raw vocal. He gave me the processed version of it as well, but he asked me to try and see if I can give him a better sound out of his wet signal that he had processed as opposed to the dry, something that him and I have been talking about a lot lately. So yeah, I'm going to give a stab at just really mixing his vocal from the ground up before his processing and stuff like that. I do have the wet in here too, just to get an idea of what he did like, so I can compare later, but just let you know that's there, lead vocal, lead dry. After that, I have the other gentleman named Miguel on the record. I have his vocals lined up here, all leads. And then after that, I have more of backgrounds usually. There's not much background here, so it's not really there as far as the harmonies concerned. The harmonies is like the closest thing to like backgrounds that I have, and the octave that he has there too. But after that, I like to usually do, which I'll put this at the top, I like to have also the client sent over some time-based effects printed, meaning the quarter note delay or the reverb and stuff like that. They also gave me that. So I have that in the session just at the bottom of this entire vocal thing. And that's it. I like to keep and maintain that balance. And if I feel like I need to clean up his reverb and stuff like that, then cool. But knowing it's there just saves me time trying to recreate his reverb and delays. After all of those stems are organized, I have then my time-based effects. So I have a palette of reverbs, delays, and all kinds of things in here at any time that I just want to run and jump and say, oh, let me try this, and just a palette. There's 7, 8 different reverbs in here that I have at any time that I could jump to. If I like one, then I'll go into the reverb, tweak it. Just helps me to move a little faster and make decisions a little better. I have 8 reverbs up in this actual session, probably more than that. After that, I have delays. Same exact thing, just a palette of delays, quarter notes, 8th notes, 16th notes, and stuff like that, slaps. And then after that, just more time-based effects. This is like some of my harmonic saturation auxes. If I'm looking for a little bit more brightness and stuff like that out of the sound, I have that here, and just some time-based effects as well as a parallel compressor, which I haven't used in a very long time. I haven't been parallel compressing vocals much these days. After that, I then have these 8 stems. Basically, what these 8 stems is the entire mix. So remember when I told you I have a total drum bus? Yes. All the drums are coming to this particular aux. I have all the basses coming to this particular aux here. Music, a second music aux, all the vocals, lead-wise, all the background vocals, all the effects. Effects are basically referring to the time-based effects and stuff like that. Then I have sound effects, which I showed you all those sound effects. Kind of gives me it gives me a lot of control over the entire mix. If I want to turn all the sound effects up in its totality, I can just go to the sound effects aux, turn it up a little bit. If I want the lead vocal to pop a little bit more, I'll go to the vocal bus, turn up the vocals a little bit. Just gives me total control over the entire mix, and I really enjoy that. At the very end, I have my full Auxman technique. I use these a lot for when I'm just looking for that extra something from particular things from a syn standpoint. So if I want more depth in a specific sound, I have a depth aux, which now I've been using the black vortex a lot more lately, so I haven't been really using my depth aux that much. I have a width aux, which is very interesting. It's not this static kind of sounding width. It's more dynamic width, where it really listens to transient information and adds width to transient. So I enjoy using this on claps, or if I want the piano, when the person is stabbing at the piano, to kind of be widthy and stuff like that. So it's really width, but not in the same way that you probably think, in a sense of just adding width and just letting it be there static. I have a mono center aux, which is me giving more focus and center focus to something. If I feel like something particular is out of phase and I don't want to go in and try to manipulate the phase of the actual instrument, what I'll do is I'll just give that particular instrument or sound a little bit more center to help with that phase and make it feel a little bit more focused and get a little more perceived volume out of it as well. So that's there. I have this transient aux, which gives me more transients to something if I want. And then I have this white noise at the end, which I'm going to mute because not everybody actually enjoys that. You don't even worry about that white noise, what you call it. Once in a blue. For my own production, I like putting white noise underneath. Shout out Jason Joshua for putting me onto that. And Max Martin. Okay, so that's really the lay of the land session. What I'm gonna do right now is, and I'm totally in the box, by the way, for people that have seen past videos, I'm totally in the box, and I'll explain how I've gotten myself to be totally in the box and what plugin I'm using to keep me there and give me that sound that I was getting out of my analog gear, but even better now these days. So right now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna listen to this ref mix. I'm gonna play it for you. I've heard the song already, but I'm gonna let you hear verse, chorus, so you can get an idea of what the song sounds like. Right now I have it turned down. This will get louder as we go, as far as this entire session. But for right now, I just have it turned down because obviously my stems don't have a limiter and stuff like that on it, and it's not as loud as the rough, but we'll get there. So I had the rough turned down a little bit. I'm gonna turn it up just a little bit for the sake of this video. But yeah, let's take a listen to the rough, and let you get an idea of what it sounds like. Listen close.
Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo, me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde para el trabajo, Con mi bom 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 pa la playa bom 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 bom. En este verano esto se formó. Bom 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 pa la playa bom 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 bom.
Bom 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 llegó el don que me ponga un reggaetón. Estar contigo todo el día es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos la cita. Que si el vacilo sigues contigo, pues mejor. Agarrado de la mano tú y yo.
Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Me voy para la playa y llego tarde para el trabajo. Tírame el dembow, que lo bailamos donde quiera.
Okay, so that's a rough idea of just what the song sounds like. I can already hear to myself, definitely want to open things up. Things feel a little tight. And then also on the drum sound, I really want to bring that kick out. Like I want that kick to really shine through and drive the record. And yeah, and that's about it. So let's get to mixing. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to obviously mute the rough. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start preparing my listening environment. I have this SPL meter. I like to listen to the mix out of my speakers at about 75 to about 80 dBA from a listening standpoint. Shout out my guy, Ryan Schwab, Ben Thomas, for kind of putting me onto that. I feel like it saves my ears and doesn't hurt and, you know, fatigue me so fast. And it also is a calm listening kind of volume for me to mix in without like tricking myself. So now I'm going to mute his ref. I'm going to listen to my stems and I'm going to see where my volume at. And I'm basically going to take my monitors, turn them down or up to that kind of 75, 80 sweet spot. And basically that's where it's going to stay. Until I make things louder, I'm going to make sure I'm paying attention to my SPL, turning my output as far as my monitors down to stay within that range. So let's listen. Okay, so I've got my monitoring position pretty good. And now I'm ready to mix. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to match the ref volume with the stems volume that I have. I've already gain stage all my stems down about negative 10 dB to make sure that I have plenty of headroom to work with. And also that when I do put a plug-in on the actual, any of these stems, that I'm not peaking and stuff like that. So yeah, that's basically where I'm going to go. I also know that Kardec usually has his guard particle on at 100%. So this is going to be one of the rare times that I'm actually going to mix into the guard particle. I usually don't do that. I usually put guard particle on at the very end, really low, but I know in his actual rough that he has guard particle on 100%. So I am going to wind up putting guard particle on at 100% at some point. Probably right now. No limiting, but just the guard particle on. So I'm going to throw guard particle on. I have it down 100%. Going to turn the limiter and stuff like that off. And I just want to just mix into this now because that's what his rough is like. And I'm trying to match those, the volume and just the perception of his stems. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to listen to the ref or the rough versus my stems. And I'm going to reconstruct his rough to the actual, stems so that I can have a good starting point of knowing this is exactly where his mix was from a volume standpoint, the balance and stuff. I may turn up the kick a little bit more and stuff like that, but I'm going to use no plugins, just straight volume faders and just do a fader mix first before I jump into like really, really mixing and stuff like that. So let's reconstruct this mix with the ref and go from there. Okay, cool. Kind of just got the volumes to be somewhat similar from a perception standpoint, and now I'm going to start reconstructing this mix. Let's do it. So now that I'm noticing that he has two snares in here that are basically like layered with each other, I want to control those two snares together because I don't want to disrupt his balance. So I'm going to create an aux, send those two to this particular aux through here. 1314 is cool. 1314, going to rename those snares like so. And then I'm going to send it to the kick and snare aux like it was before.
Solo dime cuándo hacemos la cita. Que si el vacío es contigo, pues mejor agarrar la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa. La nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. La nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo hacemos la cita. Que si el vacío agarrado. La nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando. La nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo hacemos la cita. La nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón. La nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo hacemos la.
Este verano, este verano, este verano, este verano, este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Este verano, este verano, lo digo de antemano. Este verano, este verano, este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Me voy para la playa y llego tarde para el trabajo. Este verano, lo digo. Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Me voy para la playa y llego tarde. Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano. Este verano. Este verano, lo digo de antemano. Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Me voy para la playa y llego tarde para. Este verano, este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy. Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy. Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano. Este verano, lo digo de antemano.
Like I said, just trying to match those volumes as far as what I'm hearing in the rough versus the stems. So I felt like the muted guitar, I was like, oh, I feel like that wants to come up a little bit more.
Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Hay que ser puntual, con eso yo. Este verano, lo digo de antemano. Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Me voy para la. Este verano, lo digo de este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano, hay que ser este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy. Este verano, lo digo de antemano, este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano, hay que ser. Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo, me voy para la playa y llego tarde falta. Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano.
Cool. Like I said, just kind of reconstructing his mix. All right, let's move on down to the sound effects and stuff.
Este verano.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to move the sound effects up in unison because I'm sure there's a balance to these sound effects as far as how it swoops at the impacts. So I'm going to turn it up in totality. I'm going to turn it all up as one kind of unit, if that makes any sense.
Este verano, este verano, este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano.
Cool. Feel good about that. Now I'm going to go on to his vocals, try to get those kind of the same volume.
Lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no. Lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual. Lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Me voy para la playa.
Okay. Feel good. That's kind of me just reconstructing his mix from scratch. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try again to go back to the rough, make sure that I'm in kind of a similar ballpark volume-wise and stuff like that, and then check my SPL meter again just to make sure I'm listening at a decent volume.
Hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no.
Llegó el don, que me ponga un reggaetón, estar contigo todo el día, es lo que
Lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Me voy.
So staying within that 75 to 80 range.
Lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual. Lo digo de antemano, soy bacano.
Cool. Feel like I'm in a similar ballpark to it, and I'm ready to really dive into this mix. First thing I want to do is I'm going to start working on these drums and get these drums nice and tight and just up front in the mix and just get them to pop and be a little bit more exciting. And just really give more bottom to that kick too, as far as just not even a bottom sense, just more punch to the kick and stuff like that. Really, that kick is really on my mind, as you can probably tell. All right, so now let's go to the drum sound and let's start manipulating the kick.
la nevera, pásame la fría, dos vacilos gozando todos los días, tú tienes la combi completa, mamita, solo dime cuándo hacemos la cita, que si el vacío sigues contigo, pues mejor, agarrado de la mano tuyo.
Okay, so long story short, what I want to show you with this kick, and it's always fun to show this, is I'm going to show you before and after this kick. The difference between the original kick was hitting at negative 19.8 on my meter, and then with my processing is hitting at negative 19.5. So about a 0.3 dB difference between those two signals. I want you to listen though and see which one sounds louder, fuller, just feels like it has a little bit more attack on it, and just go from there. So without first. So to me, for that little bit of processing, I got a little bit more just deepness in the kick and punch out of the kick to me, and just more perceived loudness out of the kick, with only sacrificing about 0.3 dB. And that's it. But I really like the sound of it now. I feel like I'm getting a fuller sounding kick within the entire mix. Continuing. Let's move on to these snares. You can clearly see that I'm also playing things within the context of the mix to keep me in check and in line, and not just playing it in solo, tweaking, then listening. I'm really playing it within the entire totality of the mix to see if I'm really truly doing anything that I really like. Let's move to the snares. Let's open up that snare just a little bit. But before that, let me just go to that spot that I feel like could get a little jarring. Cool, so just eased up on that particular range and then got rid of turned down a little bit of that bottom end that I'm like, I don't really need that. I don't want to do this hard cut as well, but I like the sound of just kind of doing a little bit of a shelving EQ to say, I don't need much of you, so just turn you down a little. I'm going to add a little bit of air to that entire snare sound. One sec. Now I'm gonna open up the snare sound a little bit with my full Ozone technique, adding a little dynamic whiff. So every time the snare hits, it'll kind of just feel a little bit more open sounding and stuff like that. So I'm gonna add a little bit of whiff to this snare, just a little bit. Just kind of makes the snare feel a little bit more exciting, just a tad bit. And now what I'm also going to do is add a little bit more center focus to that snare, because I really want that snare to hit you right up front and center. Still having a little bit of dynamic whiff to it, but at the same time, I do want that snare to feel very, very center focused with that kick and just drive the entire thing. So I'm going to add a little bit of center focus in here. Cool, so just add a little bit of center focus to that snare sound. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my orange clip or gold clip, depends on the sonics of it and how it sounds, and just get a little bit of headroom back and just make sure that that snare isn't getting too peaky as far as where it was before. So I'm gonna add a little bit of soft clip into the snare to kind of just hone in and just kind of calm things down a bit. What I might do is, and I actually never tried this before, which I'm gonna try right now, I am going to actually do it from a standpoint of the multi-band, because I feel like the high end is what I want to make sure doesn't get too much. We'll see. And then I'll probably give it a little bit more mid-range to save me headroom. One second. Okay, so let's look at how much headroom I kind of ate up by applying this processing. So before it was hitting at, it was hitting at negative 19.3 for the most part, and now it's hitting at. At negative 18.8, which is, what is that? I'm not really good at math. What is that, about 0.6 dB difference? So ate up about 0.6 dB of headroom, but the snare to me just feels a lot more stronger in the mix. I just feel better about it, and I'm cool with that. So that's it. Now I'm gonna go back to my ref, listen to my ref, see what my ref is sounding like. Cool, just got a little bit of more control on the kick and snare. I also feel like they're just a lot stronger in the mix. And didn't have to sacrifice too much headroom in order to get that, but I feel good about it in that regard. Next, let's move on to this Perk loop. So to me, this Perk loop is a deal breaker in a sense of, I know that Perk loop in itself is the key to unlocking the width of the record. As far as like making it feel a little bit more open sounding. Right now, it's cool. It sounds a little tucked. And now what I want to do is I kind of just want to open it up a little bit and make the sides feel a little bit more exciting with the Perk loop. So I'm going to use the Perk loop to really make and give you the perception of more width out of the drum sound and stuff like that, and also some more liveliness. So let's do that right now. Just cleaning up some low end on this because I don't want that to disturb my bass and my kick and stuff like that. So I'm just easing up on that a little bit, cleaning it up. Just kind of warming up that sound a little bit and trying to get it to feel a little bit less jarring when it's competing with everything at once with the high end and stuff like that. And just being very cognizant of that high end, like, okay, maybe I don't think I need so much of that high end right now at this moment. Kind of making it, just calming it down and taming things just a little bit, like a dB. I didn't do nothing significant. Very broad cuts. Let's listen. Okay, now that thing I told you about opening it up, let's open it up. What I like to use for my percussions to open them up is this Pan Man plugin. Oh my goodness. Does it do damage, bro? I have this little preset called Give the Perks Movement. Also, what I'm going to do is let me also get the tempo. 1 second. 1 second. He sent me the stems. Did he put the thing in here? He did not. Okay, cool. I'm just going to tap it out. 1 second. I just want the tempo of the record. Hold on 1 sec.
No, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo, me voy.
Cool. And now I'm going to make sure that it is catching that. There we go. All right. All right.
Pásame la fría, dos vacilos gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mami. Cuando hacemos la cita, que si el vacío y es contigo, pues mejor agarrado de la mano tú y yo. Dame la nevera, pásame la fría, dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo hacemos la cita.
It's so subtle, but it kind of opens up the sound a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the MVT2 to open up and kind of bring up some more of that low-level sound out of the percussion loop to get more of the nuances heard.
Dame la nevera, pásame la fría, dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo hacemos la cita. Que si el vacío y es contigo, pues mejor agarrado de la mano tú y yo. Dame la nevera, pásame la fría, dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo hacemos la cita. Que si el vacío y es contigo, pues mejor agarrado de la mano tú y yo. Dame la nevera, pásame la fría, dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo hacemos la cita. Que si el vacío y es contigo, pues mejor.
Give me a little lift on that perk loop. Let me listen to my reference.
Dame la nevera, pásame la fría, dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo hacemos. Dame la nevera, pásame la fría, dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi.
Reason why I love that so much is because with the Pan Man, it kind of helps to also move things out of the way, not making everything so like right up the middle and on top of each other. Kind of just moves it out the way and kind of gives it a little bit of a sense of space and stuff like that. So I really enjoy just using Pan Man for like perk loops, hi-hats and stuff like that, just to make it move and give it a little bit more movement and stuff like that. Moving on. I'm gonna move on to the shaker because that's really my ears paying. It's just that high end in that shaker. It's bothering me a little bit. I like the high end on it. I understand that's what he wants, but I also want to tame that a little bit so it's not so jarring. And I don't want it to overshadow the lead vocal. I kind of want the lead vocal to shine from a high end standpoint and feel pristine and center. So I'm gonna try to ease up on the shaker a little bit from a high end standpoint.
Dame la nevera, pásame la fría. La nevera, pásame la fría, dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo hacemos. Dame la nevera, pásame la fría, dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Dame la nevera, pásame la fría, dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo hacemos la cita. Que si el vacío y es contigo, pues mejor agarrado de la mano tú y yo. Dame la nevera, pásame la fría, dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo hacemos la cita. Que si el vacío y es contigo, pues mejor agarrado de la mano tú y yo. Dame la nevera, pásame la fría, dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Dame la nevera, pásame la fría, dos vacilón. Dame la nevera, pásame la fría, dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo hacemos la cita. Que si el vacío y es contigo, pues mejor agarrado de la mano tú y yo. Dame la nevera, pásame la fría, dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo hacemos la cita. Que si el vacío y es contigo. Dame la nevera, pásame la fría, dos vacilón. Dame la nevera, pásame la fría, dos vacilón gozando todo. Dame la nevera, pásame la fría, dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa.
So what I did was eased up on the high end a little bit on the shaker, and then on top of that, I kind of gave it more of where I feel like it speaks more within the mix, which is pretty much at that like 3K range. I found that I was getting a little bit more of that attack of it for the most of that more of the body of it, which I know it's 3K. So in my brain, I'm perceiving it as, okay, there's a little bit more of like, kind of like the mid-range of the shaker as opposed to giving so much emphasis to that high end of the shaker, which I felt like was gonna get really competitive with the lead vocal when I start mixing it. So I just kind of reshifted the harmonics of the entire like shaker to feel a little bit more lower down in the register as opposed to feeling so high up and just bright and stuff like that. Continuing. I do also hear that width on it a little bit. Now that I've taken some of that high end off, I know that that probably messes with kind of like the side information, so I'm going to see something right quick. Cool, felt a lot better. That once again, Pan Man kind of helped to move things out of the way a little bit, kind of creating a little bit of a space of its own, kind of making the shaker just feel not so in the way of just everything in that center, kind of making it just feel a little bit more open sounding, and that's it. Cool. Moving on. Let's grab that. Let me see how I hear it in the ref. I don't hear it much in the ref, but I'm gonna bring it out just a little bit in ours. Cool, subtle, but brought it up some more. Cool. Let me take a look at something right quick. What was it gonna do? I don't know what I was gonna do. Probably won't even use this EQ, but I just want to take a look at something. Now, usually I don't do hard cuts like that, but I just don't want it to get in the way of the kick. Even though it doesn't hit with the kick, like exactly, I just don't want that low end stuff to interfere with anything. I want the low end to feel like the kick and bass, and I just want to get this out of the way a little bit. So just a tad little cleanup. That move was honestly not even probably necessary, but I just felt like I was like, oh, let's clean it up a little bit. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring up the low level material. You see, I haven't been really compressing lately. And you know, from a traditional compression standpoint, I've been really trying to bring up low level material instead. So I've been trying to meet the peaks more where they are, bring up the nuances of a sound as opposed to kind of clamping down and then trying to turn it up from there. I've been feeling like it just feels a little bit, I don't know, more, I don't even want to say natural. It just feels better to me to just bring up nuances as opposed to trying to clamp down on everything and tighten and stuff. Cool, I can feel it, it's there. I don't want to disrupt it any more than he already has. Next thing I'm gonna do is this Perk.
Con mi bom 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 pa la playa bom 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 bom. En este verano esto se formó.
Just want to clamp down on a little bit of 3K on that. That's about it.
Pa'l trabajo con mi bom bom. pa'l trabajo, con mi bom 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 bom, pa'l trabajo, con mi bom 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 bom, pa'l trabajo, pa'l trabajo, pa'l trabajo, con mi pa'l trabajo, pa'l trabajo.
Cool, that impact. 1 second. So I want to give a little bit of that impact like he has. I know the reason why is because he has that limiter on the end of his. We will put a limiter on shortly, but I just want to make sure, I just want to put it inside of my mix as opposed to trying to depend on a limiter to really bring that level of that up. So I'm going to find like the impact of it from a body standpoint and try to bring up some of the impact in the body.
Pa'l trabajo, con mi bom 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 bom, pa'l trabajo, pa'l trabajo, pa'l trabajo, pa'l trabajo, pa'l trabajo. Pa'l trabajo, 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 pa'l trabajo. Pa'l trabajo, pa'l trabajo, pa'l trabajo, pa'l trabajo.
1 second. Oh.
Pa'l trabajo, pa'l trabajo, pa'l trabajo, pa'l trabajo, pa'l trabajo.
I took some of the high end out of this, but I can tell that, and I want to make sure the client doesn't feel like I took away from his impact. So 1 second.
Pa'l trabajo, pa'l trabajo, con pa'l trabajo, pa'l trabajo, pa'l trabajo.
Like I said, that could be the limiter that he had doing that work. So 1 second. Just want to make sure I'm matching him for the most part or making it better.
Pa'l trabajo, pa'l trabajo.
Yeah, I can hear like the high end that's been added to that impact and stuff, but I don't want to add that impact, that high end to that impact. 1 second.
Pa'l trabajo, con mi bom 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 bom.
Because I want that to feel like it takes away. Like I want that to be the focal.
Pa'l trabajo, con pa'l trabajo, con mi bom 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 bom.
All right, I have a thought.
Pa'l trabajo, con mi bom 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 bom. Pa'l trabajo, con mi bom 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 bom. Pa'l trabajo. Bom 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 pa la playa bom bom. Pa'l trabajo, con pa'l trabajo, pa'l trabajo, pa'l trabajo, pa'l trabajo, pa'l trabajo, con mi bom 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 bom. Pa'l trabajo, pa'l trabajo, pa'l trabajo, pa'l trabajo, pa'l trabajo.
Cool. So what I did was kind of eased up on the high end and a little bit of the low mids. Then I was able to turn it up a little bit more to get what I wanted. Kind of meeting him where he was for the most part. And that's it. I might wind up turning that impact down a little bit later. I'll decide. But for the most part, I got a more controlled kind of impact sound for me that I'm cool with for now.
Pa'l trabajo. Este verano. Este verano.
I'm cool with that for now. Might have to tweak it a little bit, but I'm cool with that for now.
Con mi,
Especially when I add this stuff, you'll see.
con mi bom 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 pa la playa bom 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 bom.
To keep it a bean with you, that Perk Brazil almost kind of feels like it should be in the sound effects category, which I might throw it down to.
Pa'l trabajo.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw it down to the sound effects. It's more of a sound effect than it's an impact sound. And to me, I feel like it just serves a better space right here. So I'm gonna put it down here. I'm not gonna put that in the drum sound. I don't wanna affect that because I know that sound may throw up my entire balance when I go to my drum bus. So I'm gonna put that more in the sound effects space.
Pa'l trabajo. Con mi bom 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 bom. Con mi bom 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 pa la playa bom bom bom. Con mi bom 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 pa la playa bom. Con mi bom 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 bom.
Just smoothed that out a little bit. That's about it for that. And then I have this cymbal swell.
Este verano.
There's something in particular that I love to do to swells like that. 1 second.
Este verano. Este verano. Este verano. Este verano. Este verano. Este verano.
Cool. So what I'm gonna do to the swell is I'm gonna add a little doubler to it to give it a little bit more of a stereo feel, kind of open it up a little bit, and that's it. 1 sec. I have a little preset that I love called Open Up the Sound Effect right here. I'm gonna open up to make it feel a little more stereo. Kind of opens the sound up a little bit. Let's listen.
Este verano. Lo digo de antes.
Just makes it feel a little bit more cinematic and just opens it up. And then everything comes back to the middle. I like that a lot. I'm cool with that. And now I think that's it for my drum sound. Let me just take a listen. Yeah, much stronger. To me, I like the sound of the drums. In comparison, I definitely feel like now I'm like, oh, I feel like some of the instruments I want to bring up a little bit, but that's cool. That's me getting that loudness out of everything. I'll do that later. But I feel good about that. Now let's go to my total drum bus, which is right here. Where you at? Where is it at? Right here. And let's do some drum bus processing. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a little bit of a guard particle to the drums. No limiting or anything like that, but I'm gonna add a little bit of saturation to the drums to kind of open the drum sound up even more. Kind of give it a little bit more liveliness and stuff like that. The one thing I'm gonna do is with the guard particle, with Orion, with the Jason Joshua plugins, Cradle as well. I've realized in talking to them that I really want to make sure it's optimized and hitting this plugin a certain way. So I want to make sure that these drums are hitting the green for the most part, so I'm knowing I'm getting the most optimized sound as far as what they recommend. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make sure that I'm matching the input to the output of what I drive into this to make sure that what's coming in is, the same as what's coming out from a volume standpoint of what it was before. So let's do that right now. So you see right now my drums, for instance, are hitting way below those greens. To me, I want to be a little bit more optimized and optimal for the plugin and hit it a certain way. So I'm gonna drive into the plugin a little bit to get that to get it in those greens and kind of get it more optimized as far as what the plugin recommends. And then I'm gonna throw the output down to match that, and then I'll throw up some of the guard particle knob to kind of give it that saturation and that sound. Cool, so I just turned up the drums 8 dB. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn this down 8 dB. Was it 8 on the head? 7.9. So I'm gonna throw it down 7.9. Oops, sorry, you didn't hear me that whole time. I apologize. So long story short, what I was telling you before about separating the perk bus from the kick and snare, what I'm going to do right now is I am going to add a little bit of saturation to the percussion bus to make it feel a little bit more exciting, just to get a little more excitement out of it, a little more grit. And then on the kick and snare bus, I'm going to add a little bit of transient shaping, give it a little bit more attack and punch. So I have that control. Once again, that's why I like to do it, just to give me that final little bit of like a little bit more punch on that kick, a little bit more saturation in the perks, and kind of give me a little bit more of what I'm looking for. And that's it. So I'm going to use knock, love the saturation here, just to give me a little bit more saturation of the perks. Then I'm going to use the punch in knock to give me a little more punch on the kick and snare. So first saturation on the perks. Cool, just gives a little bit of a wake up for the perks, and that's it. I'll play it in solo so you can really hear it, but it's super subtle in what it's doing. So let me just solo this. Just kind of wakes things up just a little bit. Nothing too exorbitant. Next, I'm gonna do the kick and snare aux. Cool, so real subtle, just gives a little bit more punch to the kick and snare. Now we're gonna go over to the drum bus like I was doing and continue what we was doing.
Cuando
enough saturation on the drum sound. I'm cool with that. Next, I'm moving on to Orion. In Orion, I'm probably gonna have to do the same exact thing gain staging wise to make sure that I'm hitting this plugin at the optimal voltage. So I'm gonna do that right now. Cool, so I'm hitting it pretty much at the optimal range and compensating for what I'm putting into what I'm bringing out of it. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to this little harmonic section right here. And in the harmonic section, I'm gonna try to find where I like a little bit of that pop of the kick for the most part and go from there. So I'm gonna find that little pop of the kick where I like a little bit more harmonics added to it, and then I'm gonna go from there. So I'm gonna turn this on, turn up my harmonics just a little bit, and then I'm gonna choose between 50 hertz or 80 hertz. Like 50 hertz, it kind of gives me a little bit more like of a deeper sounding kick and kind of makes it feel a little bit just a little more punchy. So just a little bit of that. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to this lift function and I'm going to see if it gives me a little bit more on that snare sound in particular, just to kind of wake things up even more. So that kind of woke things up a little bit more. Second to last thing I'm gonna do on my drum bus is I'm gonna open up Orange Clip. I'm gonna turn on my drum preset. And right now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to get a little bit of control on just a few things, perhaps the bottom, just kind of soft clip things a little bit just to get some headroom back. With also increasing the perceived volume by increasing a little bit of the mid-range of the drum sound to really get it to really pop out that perceived volume. But once again, using the other clip points to kind of control things and give me a little bit of headroom back as well. So I'm gonna try to get a little more perceived volume out of the entire drum sound with this. So it kind of gives me just more of a clearer focus on the drums and a clearer kind of sound out of the drums. I'm saturating, or excuse me, I'm soft clipping a little bit of the high end of the drum sound. And then also what I'm doing here, which is good to know, is in the mid-range, pretty much everything from 300 hertz to 1.5 kilohertz, I'm basically boosting that to kind of give me a little bit more of the mid-range of the drums, particularly this sound. So I'm boosting a little bit of that sound of the drums to kind of give me a little bit more of that center focus in the mids. I know that if I boost some of the low end, which is this, that's gonna take away a little bit of headroom for me as far as you know, turning that up to be heard. So I'm doing it and boosting the part that I know deep down is probably not gonna eat up so much headroom, but give me way more like, oh, the drums sound a bit louder for some reason. So that's it. And not sacrificing pretty much much headroom or any headroom for that particular thing. Almost there on the drums. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this in Chris mode. And what I'm gonna do is I am going to now limit some of the dynamic range on the drum sound. Now you may be saying, oh my gosh, what are you about to do? You're about to limit the dynamic range on the drum sound. I'm gonna squeeze a little bit of headroom, excuse me, I'm gonna squeeze a little bit of dynamics out of the drums using limiting in order for me to get this song louder down the line. I know that my limiter at the end is going to react most to the drums, right? Kick, snare, and stuff like that. What I'm gonna do instead is, instead of putting the limiter on my actual mix bus and saying, okay, let's get it loud and kind of, starting to turn things down and start reacting to those drums, instead I'm doing it earlier in the entire process. I'm going to my drums and saying, let's squeeze a little bit of that out now so that when I put the limiter on at the mix bus stage, I don't have to limit so much, thus disrupting the vocals and all that other stuff and letting that be a little bit more dynamic sounding now that I'm taking the dynamics out of the drums. So it's kind of like a little bit of a balance that I'm doing where I'm taking a little bit of dynamics out of the drum sound to compensate for pretty much loudness and things of that nature on the mix bus. Because if I go to the mix bus and I try to do it and I'm going to turn it down, I'm also going to be affecting the balance and the sonics of the instruments, of the bass, of all the other things, with just trying to just get a little bit more control or just trying to get more loudness out of the entire mix. So I'm doing it here in this phase so that I don't have to do so much limiting when it comes to my mix bus. That's it. So the way I like to do it and set it up is I like to look at my input of how much the drums are hitting on the input side. And I, once again, like to match that output on the output side to, once again, make sure I'm not fooling myself with a bunch of volume. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and look at how much the drums are hitting at as far as the input. So I'm seeing a peak at negative 12.3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my output to negative 12.3 to ensure myself that when it starts limiting, that is my peak, is negative 12.3. My ceiling is still going to be negative 12.3. So when I bypass it back and forth, plus or minus about 0.3 dB, they're hitting at the same exact peak, plus or minus maybe 0.3 dB. So let's start limiting the drums a little. Massive difference. Right now I'm seeing about a dB difference between the before and after. So I'm going to turn my output down a little bit. So right now, those drums are hitting bypass back and forth around the same peak that it was before, but obviously I have way more perceived volume out of it. Now, I also want to make sure that I'm maintaining the balance of the mix that I had before. So I'm going to turn this down until I feel like when I bypass back and forth, it feels a bit better, but at the same time, kind of just the same kind of volume that it was before as far as the drums. I'm getting and actually saving just a tad bit of headroom as well. I'm probably hitting about 0.5 dB less with more perceived volume out of the drum sound. I realized and just caught myself and realized modern sounded a little better. So that's my entire drum sound for the most part. Now let me check one last thing. So here's the power of that drum bus processing that I just did. Before the drums were hitting, before all of this drum bus processing, the drums were hitting at about negative 13.5 on my meters, negative 13.5. After, let's see what it's hitting at now. So let's see what it's hitting at now. So before, negative 13.5. What is it hitting at now? Negative 14.2. So before it was hitting at negative 13.5, which is quote unquote louder, right? From a headroom standpoint, versus now it's a bit quieter from a headroom standpoint and saved us about a dB at negative 14.2. But what I want you to pay attention and listen to is which one gives you more feeling, more impact, sounds louder in general. Without first. To me, the one with the drum bus processing on sounds far louder to me from a perception standpoint. But on our meters, it's coming up as a dB quieter in regards to headroom. That's the trick and power to me with that particular, kind of processing, where I'm getting more out of the drum sound for with not sacrificing so much headroom. This is going to allow me to make the mix a bit louder. I save myself a dB. So I'm going to be able to make this song in general a dB louder than it could have been before, just with all the processing I did and stuff like that. So that's the power of that. That's why I do it. And that's why I love it so much. Okay, continuing on. So next thing I'm going to do is, and this is my thing where it's gotten me to be able to mix fully in the box. This is kind of my technique for it. Long story short, I'm going to turn on my mix head plugin like so. And with this mix head plugin, let me move this out the way a bit. Sorry about that. With my mix head plugin, what it's going to allow me to do is it kind of is this tape saturation plugin where it gives me that separation, a little bit of that grit that I like out of my outboard gear. Since I've been using outboard gear, I've been chasing that sound within digital to, kind of compensate for that sound. So what I found is I've created this little preset within the Mixhead plugin from, I think it's Make Believe Studios. And basically this preset has really, really given me somewhat of that sound that I was looking for, a little bit of that separation, a little bit more perceived volume from it. And I like to put it across all 8 of those stems that I was referring to before. It's the same preset on them. I'm still experimenting with kind of tweaking some to make it feel even different, but to each his own. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bypass this Mixhead plugin back and forth on this entire mix. Take a listen to what it sounds like. This is kind of re-emulating my outboard gear for the most part. 1 second, just something with my bass. I muted it by accident.
Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo, me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde pa'l trabajo.
I love that. It just kind of fills up my speaker a little bit in that fatness that I was looking for. And that's kind of what my outboard gear used to give me. And so I found kind of this preset and kind of setting to kind of help me re-emulate that. So that's on all the stems right now. And I'll be mixing into that. Okay. So now the very last thing I'm going to do before I take a nice break is I am going to set up my mix bus. There are 2 plugins in particular that are very important. One is this plugin, which is my Ozone maximizer. I'm gonna put 2 limiters on. I like to mix into my limiters, to each his own. Some people get great results without doing that. I just happen to mix into my limiters. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna set up my first step of gain staging. This is kind of gonna be my check and balance as far as knowing how much I'm doing, as far as am I overloading my mix bus and stuff like that, as far as from a volume standpoint, and kind of just mixing into these 2 limiters to kind of let me know what a limiter is gonna do to my mix later down the line. I'm gonna get a little bit of gain of limiting going, maybe a dB, half a dB on this one, and then another dB out of this one. So I'm looking for about 2 dB of limiting to occur, so I can kind of get an idea of what limiting is going to do to my mix, and that's what I'm gonna mix into. And the other thing about it is I'm gonna put on this black box and mix into this as well. And I love it because it kind of adds, once again, helping me to re-emulate what I was getting out of my analog gear by adding a little bit of weight to the entire mix, and I'm gonna mix into this as well. So I'm gonna go put my little preset on. I'm gonna take this off. And this is kind of my preset that I have dialed in. This is something that I've tweaked actually from Jason Joshua. Shout out to him for putting us all onto this. But I'm gonna mix into this sound that I have here and add my limiting. And this is gonna be my first step of gain staging. And I'm gonna lock everything in and then know, here is where I belong. And this is where I'm gonna stay. And then we'll do a second step of gain staging later down the line. So first, what I'm gonna do is I am going to turn the black box back and forth and see what the sound is giving me. It's gonna give me a lot more perceived volume, by the way, and not eat up so much headroom. Just keep that in mind. So for my sticklers out there that are saying to themselves, no way, like you ate up a ton of headroom, I'm gonna show you before and after. So before, and realize I don't have any real limiting occurring. No limiting really occurring, or occurring at all for the most part. So let's look at this black box. Before black box, it was hitting at. I see a peak at negative 6.7, and now I have the mix hitting at with black box on. Negative 6.4. So about, what is that? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. About a half a dB difference between those two. Just a half a dB difference. Now let me back and forth them and listen to what it sounds like with and without. Check out the perception of volume and just loudness that I'm getting in regards to that. Just gives me so much more perceived loudness. The kick gets louder, and just more fuller. Like everything just feels a little more deeper and fuller and stuff like that. And yes, I'm hearing my instruments and my vocals and stuff, and all of that is gonna get compensated for as far as the balance. But I feel good so far. So now what I'm gonna do is I am going to get a little bit of limiting going. I'm gonna watch my ears as well, make sure I'm not killing myself on this one. And I'm gonna get a little bit of limiting going, and I'm looking for about a dB. That's a half a dB of limiting.
Cuando hacemos la cita Que sigue el vacío y es contigo. Agarrado de la mano tuya. Dame la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos la cita. El vacío y es contigo. Pues mejor agarrado de la mano tuya. Dame la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes.
Cool. So I'm getting about a 2 dB of limiting just going between those two, and now I'm gonna just check my loudness to see how loud I am.
Dame la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos la cita. Que sigue el vacío y es contigo. Pues mejor agarrado de la mano tuya.
Cool. I feel really good already just with just only 2 dB of limiting. I'm already hitting at like -8 LUFS on my short term. Not saying like, oh, that's the end all be all and stuff like that, but I know it's gonna be no problem to get this song loud now. So I'm not worried about that at all. And I know I'm gonna turn that vocal way up. I know those instruments are gonna get more fuller, just more in tune with everything and stuff like that. And this is where I'm gonna take a break, and I feel cool about. I'm gonna listen to the rough, which chances are the rough is probably still louder, but now I'm gonna turn the rough up to 0 and listen to what the rough is telling me versus the the mix so far.
Dame la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa. Dame la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Dame la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días.
I think we're putting some damage into this as far as just kind of just being more competitive than that rough when we start mixing this vocal, when we start doing stuff to the instruments and kind of balancing stuff even more. I think we're going to be just fine. So right now I'm going to take a break and then we'll come back. But yeah, time for the first break and we'll go to bass after this. Test. Okay, just took a quick little break and now we're going to move on to bass. All right, let me listen to the original bass.
Dame la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos la cita. Que sigue el vacío y es contigo. Pues mejor agarrado de la mano tuya.
Este verano,
Dame la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita.
Okay, cool. So let's start attacking this bass a bit. Let me listen.
Dame la nevera, pásame la fría. Dame la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi. Dame la nevera, pásame la fría.
So off ripping my brain, I'm like, oh, I want to bring a little bit more of the heard part of the bass, not the bottom, but more of the heard part of the bass out. And this is something that I like to do. Fat filter Saturn 2. And what I'm gonna do is I have a little preset called saturate bass, and then I work from here. Turn this down. And what I'm gonna try to do is I'm gonna try to hone in on the part of the bass that's more heard on smaller cell phones. So not the low end of the bass, but more like the mid-range of the bass. And I'm gonna try to bring that up just a little bit more so I can hear it on these smaller speakers and stuff like that. Let's do that now. So that right there is not going to eat up a ton of headroom, but it's giving me a lot more perception in the bass sound just from when I listen to it within the mix. Let's listen. Once again, just raising more of the heard part of the bass, the mid-range of the bass, so I can hear it on these smaller little speakers. and do it in a way that's not going to eat up a crap ton of headroom by trying to raise the entire bass sound and ultimately hurting how loud I can get the song and just eating up my limiter. So I'm trying to get more heard out of the bass, adding some saturation using this dynamic section on the Fab Filter Saturn, which is super underrated to kind of squeeze things and kind of make it feel a little bit louder. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my sub on and I'm going to listen to the bottom end of this bass. So right quick, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw a little bit more input into this sound, kind of how I did with the kicks and the drum bus and stuff. I want to throw a little bit more input into the plugin to really get it to hear everything and kind of optimize it. So let me just drive a little signal into it, and I'm gonna compensate that for that with my output. Just checking my headroom, 1 second. Now that I put some harmonics in the bottom, 1 second. I see that it was hitting at -26 before. And we're dang near hitting the same amount, now with a little bit more rumble. 1 second. Cool, just gives me a little bit more. That's it. Coming back in, turning down, making sure I'm not killing myself ear-wise.
Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo, me voy pa' la playa y llego este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo, me voy pa' la playa y llego.
Cool, and the very last last thing I'm gonna do to this bass is, I don't feel like it needs any widening or anything like that. I'm gonna add this Ozone maximizer, and kind of what I showed y'all with the drums, where I squeeze a little bit more dynamics out of it to get more perceived volume out of it. Pretty much the same concept. I found that RSRC1 bangs for bass in this regard. I'm not doing any compression on this for the most part. I don't feel like it needs like this, you know, a massive amount of compression. So I'm gonna use limiting instead to give me a little bit more control, but also it's going to give me a little bit more perceived volume out of the bass without sacrificing so much headroom. Same exact concept that I did with the drum bus. If you did watch that, please watch that if you skipped, because I know y'all be skipping. Let's look at what the input of the bass is giving us.
Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo. Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo.
So I'm hitting input around negative 26 dB. Now what I'm gonna do is, since I'm seeing that that's how much it wants from an input standpoint, excuse me, now that I'm seeing that that is the input that is giving me, I'm going to drive into this limiter a little bit more, because I know that when it comes to the gain, it only has a limited amount of gain in reference to 25. It's a little confusing, I know, but I'm going to get it to more an optimal range for the plugin so that I can then actually get some limiting going and stuff like that. So what I'm gonna do right now is I am going to put a trim plugin on before this. I'm gonna raise this about 12 dB, and don't freak out and panic. I am going to compensate for this inside the limiter. So it's not gonna be, I just raised this 12 dB on the output of the final fader. You'll see in a second. Just let me cook. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna drive a little bit more signal into this, but I'm also gonna take my output and turn down 12 point, what was it? 12.6. For now, I'm just gonna bring it down 12 until I got that same thing. What was it, 12? So I went in 12 dB, so I'm gonna come out 12 dB. Okay, cool. And now I'm gonna drive into it. One sec.
Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano.
Before I do that, let me look at my output ceiling. 1 second.
Este verano, lo digo de, este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano.
Contigo fue mejor, agarrado de la mano tú y yo.
Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo, me voy pa' la playa y llego.
So I'm seeing negative 13.9. So I'm gonna set my output ceiling to negative 13.9, and I'm gonna give it a little bit of limiting. 1 second.
Contigo fue mejor, agarrado de la mano tú y yo.
Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo, me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde pa'l trabajo, tírame el dembow que lo bailamos.
Contigo fue mejor, agarrado de la mano tú y yo.
As you can see, my output is peaking at negative 26, still negative 25.8, but it's still peaking at that negative 26. That's why I gain stages that way. And then when I bypass the trim plugin with this, I can get a true representation of, did it give it more perceived volume or not? So I had to do it that way for this, but let's continue.
Contigo fue mejor, agarrado de la mano tú y yo.
Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano.
All right, let's check that before and after now. So without those, without that limiter, it's hitting at. Let's find a better spot because that little pop plays a part. Now let's judge it. So let's look. So before I was hitting at negative 25.9, and now with my limiting on, it's hitting at negative 25.9. Now that you know that they're both hitting at the exact same peak as far as headroom is concerned, I'm going to bypass it back and forth and listen to the sound. Without first. Just kind of inflates the bass. Don't worry about what you see right there, because basically when a little pop comes in as far as the bypass and back and forth, sometimes that spikes things. But both of them were hitting at the same exact peak. But one sounds far louder, far more fatter and juicier inside the mix than the other. And that's basically it. So I have a fatter bass sound within the entire premise of the song.
Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo, me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde para el trabajo, tírame el dembow que lo baila.
Si hoy es contigo, pues mejor agarrado de la mano tú y yo.
Still feel pretty healthy with my limiters and stuff like that. Don't feel like I'm doing too much. I'm going to get a little bit of headroom back now, which doing a technique that a lot of people are kind of against, I've been seeing lately, but I still enjoy it. I'm actually going to take this out of the bass bus. I don't need the bass bus, and I don't need it going through any extra processing or anything like that right now, which a whole nother argument, but let's go through the bass bus. Now it's just clean. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on this MB, and this MB, I'm going to sidechain the kick to the bass. So basically every time the kick hits, I'm going to have that bass just duck down a little bit and just give me some headroom, so it's not hitting each other at the same time, and kind of get back a little bit of headroom. So what you call it? So many people are against it. I hear you. All right. I'm not here to argue it. I know there's a bunch of different ways to do it, but hey, man, to each his own. Bus 8. I'm just setting up my sidechain. Let's rename this to kick sidechain. Kick sidechain. Put it up. All right, cool. Now let's sidechain the kick to the bass.
Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo, me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde para el trabajo.
Si hoy es contigo, pues mejor agarrado de la mano tú y yo.
Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo.
Si hoy es contigo, pues mejor agarrado de la mano tú y yo.
Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano.
It just gives me a little bit of help with that voltage that's hitting all at the same time. Just gives me a little bit of help, just kind of move things out the way a little bit. Some people do not like doing that. I totally understand. I hear you. I like the way it sounds, so I'm gonna keep it. Yeah, and I feel good about the bass. And now let me just look at, when I AB'd the rough versus that, it was a big difference. Let me just look at what this insight is telling me.
Si hoy es contigo, pues mejor agarrado de la mano tú y yo.
Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo, me voy pa' la playa.
I'm already hitting -7 LUFS on this mix. I might back off a little bit, but great time for me. You know, I'm already getting loudness that is competitive for me already from just shooting for something. I'm gonna take a break. That was bass. And yeah, walk away. I like to do drums, lock that in, then bass. Then I'll do vocals next. Then we'll work on the instruments. Then we'll do some final mix bus processing. And then automation and throws and all other stuff I do off of video. But yeah, let's take a break. breaks are essential. Test, test, test. Okay, back at it. Let's get to it. So let's start working on these vocals. Yeah. Okay, so why I'm most jumping right to Kardec's vocals because, like I told you before, he told me that he wanted me to mix his dry vocal because we were having some talks about, you know, what he could do better in his recording process as far as how he's, you know, capturing the vocal or perhaps if he's doing too much when he's sending his vocal mix through. So let me listen to his vocal mix versus the wet. So I'm going to listen to his dry versus the wet.
Es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos la cita. Que sigue el vacilo. Si es contigo, pues mejor. Agarrado de la mano tú y yo.
Yeah, and I'm listening. I definitely want to work with his dry. I feel like the wet feels a little bit, feels pretty, like really over, like compressed, especially in the mid range. And I kind of want to open his vocal up. I want him to shine, and stuff like that. So yeah, let's just work off of the dry instead. Straight up. First thing I'm gonna do is get the volume that I want out of the vocal. Crazy thing is, Kardec, if you're watching this, there's not much, like your lead vocal, I like the way your lead vocal sounds in the song right now. I'm gonna do some stuff, but nonetheless, I'm cool. Es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Now what I'm gonna do is, because I just raised his vocal sound naturally about 3 to 4 dB, I'm gonna raise everything that because I want everything to kind of still be in that same kind of range as far as how it's balanced and stuff. So I'm gonna raise everything the same, even the Miguel's vocal as well. I'm gonna raise the reverb, all that other stuff. I'm gonna raise it the same amount. So vocals, I'm gonna delete this group later because it's mad unnecessary. I'm gonna raise everything in unison the same, 3.8 dB. Okay. Es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos la cita. Que sigue el vacilo. Si es contigo, pues mejor. Agarrado de la mano tú y yo.
Este verano, lo digo de antemano.
I hear everything I need to do. So with Kardec's vocal, one thing I just want to just clean things up a little bit on the top end, get that to be a little bit smoother. I know he likes his vocals bright, but smooth too. I like his vocals smooth but bright. I'm gonna try to get some things cleaned up on the bottom end, but really it's the top end that I really want to just kind of accentuate and open up.
Llegó el don, que me ponga un reggaetón, estar contigo todo el día, es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría, dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos la cita. Que sigue el vacilo, si es contigo, pues mejor. Agarrado de la mano tú y yo. Llegó el don, que me ponga un reggaetón, estar contigo todo el día. Es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos la cita. Que sigue el vacilo. Si es contigo, pues mejor. Agarrado de la mano tú y yo. Llegó el don, que me ponga un reggaetón, estar contigo. Cuando hacemos la cita, que sigue el vacilo, si es contigo, pues mejor. Agarrado de la mano tú y yo. Llegó el don, que me ponga un reggaetón, estar contigo todo el día, es lo que quiero yo. Todos los días tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime dime cuándo y hacemos la cita. Que sigue el vacilo. Si es contigo, pues mejor. Agarrado de la mano tú y yo. Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón. Estar contigo todo el día es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Todo vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos la cita. Que sigue el vacilo. Si es contigo, pues mejor. Agarrado de la mano tú y yo. Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón. Estar contigo todo el día es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Todo vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos la cita. Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón. Estar contigo todo el día es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Todo vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos la cita. Que sigue el vacilo. Si es contigo, pues mejor. Agarrado de la mano tú y yo. Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón. Estar contigo todo el día es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Todo vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos la cita. Que sigue el vacilo. Si es contigo, pues mejor. Agarrado de la mano tú y yo. Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón. Estar contigo todo el día es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Todo vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos.
Matching the volumes that I lost from this.
Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón. Estar contigo todo el día es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Todo vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos la cita. Que sigue el vacilo. Si es contigo, pues mejor. Agarrado de la mano tú y yo. Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón. Estar contigo todo el día es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Todo vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos la cita. Que sigue el vacilo. Si es contigo, pues mejor. Agarrado de la.
Definitely helped clear things up a bit. So I kind of attacked some stuff like in that 3K range, then some stuff at that 10K range, and then a little bit of that boxiness tone that I was getting down here in this range and kind of just clean things up. And now I feel like it just unmasked the vocal a little bit. I can hear it. It cuts through a little bit more. It's not as bright as it was before, granted, but I'm going to get that brightness back. But now that I've clamped down on those brightness and spots and harshness spots that I don't like, I can do an overall kind of bump in certain things EQ-wise. So I feel good. Shoot. Feel good.
Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón. Estar contigo todo el día es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Todo vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos la cita. Que sigue el vacilo. Si es contigo, pues mejor. Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón. Estar contigo todo el día es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Todo vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos la cita. Que sigue el vacilo. Si es contigo, pues mejor. Agarrado de la mano tú y yo.
Este verano.
Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón. Estar contigo todo el día es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Todo vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos la cita. Que sigue el vacilo. Si es contigo, pues mejor. Agarrado de la mano tú y yo. Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón. Estar contigo todo el día es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Todo vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos la cita. Que sigue el vacilo. Si es contigo, pues mejor. Agarrado de la mano tú. Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón. Estar contigo todo el día es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría.
Right now, I'm looking for that place in the vocal that's making it feel tight and kind of trying to lift it up a little bit, but not from an EQ standpoint, more from a transient standpoint to make it feel a little bit more lively. So there's a part of the vocal in the low mids, even though you did see me kind of tuck that problem frequency out for the most part, or just that range in general as far as when it got too peaky, I do want to add a little bit more transient information into it to uncover it a little bit and to make it feel a little bit more, let the vocal feel a little less tucked in the body.
Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón. Estar contigo todo el día es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos la cita. Que sigue el vacilo, si es contigo, pues mejor. Agarrado de la mano tú y yo.
Este verano.
Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón. Estar contigo todo.
Kind of just lifts the body of the vocal up a little bit. It kind of helps it stay in the mix to me a little bit more.
Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón. Estar contigo todo el día es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos la cita. Que sigue el vacilo, si es contigo, pues mejor. Agarrado de la mano tú y yo. Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón. Estar contigo todo el día es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos la cita. Que sigue el vacilo, si es contigo, pues mejor. Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un...
We're light years from that now.
Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón. Estar contigo todo el día es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos la cita. Que sigue el vacilo, si es contigo, pues mejor. Agarrado de la mano tú y yo. Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón. Estar contigo todo el día es lo que quiero yo. Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón. Estar contigo todo el día es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos la cita. Que sigue el vacilo, si es contigo. Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón. Estar contigo todo el día es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos la cita. Que sigue el vacilo, si es contigo, pues mejor. Agarrado de la mano tú y yo. Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón. Estar contigo todo el día es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando.
I'm gonna change the signal flow of this a little bit. I kind of want to put the Pultec ahead of this to kind of still open it up, because what the tube is doing is, and yes, I have pulled out this old plugin. Lately for body, I've been trying it out. I kind of like it. I feel bad saying that because it's an old plugin, but it kind of gives me a little bit of a little bit more body and weight. But it like a tube kind of feels like it gives a little bit of this compression and kind of tucks things a little bit. So I want to make sure that I still open things back up after that tube.
Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón. Estar contigo todo el día.
And now I'm not into it. Let me see something right quick.
Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón. Estar contigo todo el día.
Yeah, no, I'd rather do it the other way around. See, you try things. Something new I've been trying with that tube.
Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón.
So I like what the tube is doing, but it's just taking away from some of that cut.
Bom, bom. Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón. Estar contigo todo el día es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mami. Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón. Estar contigo todo el día es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos la cita. Que sigue el vacilo.
I like what the tuba's doing, but no. It's messing with the vibe of how it feels within the music. It just messes with it. It's not right. It doesn't sound right to me. But it's a cool plugin. I'm not gonna lie. Lately, I've been using it.
Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón. Estar contigo todo el día es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos la cita. Que sigue el vacío, si es contigo, pues mejor. Agarrado de la mano tú y yo. Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón. Estar contigo todo el día es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos la cita. Que sigue el vacío. Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón. Estar contigo todo el día es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos la cita. Que sigue el vacío, si es contigo, pues mejor. Agarrado de la mano tú y yo.
Este verano.
Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón. Estar contigo todo el día es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera. Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón. Estar contigo todo el día es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos la cita. Que sigue el vacío, si es contigo, pues mejor. Agarrado de la mano tú y yo. Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón. Estar contigo todo el día es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos la cita. Que sigue el vacío, si es contigo, pues mejor. Agarrado de la mano tú y yo.
Este
Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón. Estar contigo todo el día. Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón. Estar contigo todo el día es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón. Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón. Estar contigo todo el día es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón.
There's something in like that 8K range that I'm like, open up a little bit, which actually I can go for my split EQ and try and find it. 1 second. It's a little bit of a openness, a little tuckness that I'm like, open up. 1 second.
Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón. Estar contigo todo el día es lo que quiero yo. Pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mam. Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón. Estar contigo todo el día es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos la cita. Que sigue el vacío, si es contigo, pues mejor. Agarrado de la mano tú y yo.
Este verano.
I know what's gonna shock Kardik is when I say, yo, bro, only use one compressor on this. I know he's gonna be like, what? I'm like, yep.
Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón. Estar contigo todo el día es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos. Bom, 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 llegó el don.
I don't even need to go back to that reference, to be honest, for the most part. We got the vocal.
Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón.
Let me also listen to his wet vocal, his original he sent.
Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón. Estar contigo todo el día es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días.
A lot more open sounding. It just sounds just much more open. This is the wet, the one he sent.
Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón. Estar contigo todo el día. Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón. Estar contigo todo el día.
Dope. So it's not this far run from what he did, but at the same time, it just just kind of adds a little bit of I don't know, it just feels more, it cuts more, it feels more controlled. It just has a more pleasing sound to me than before. It doesn't feel so tucked within it, which is going to help with the perceived loudness. All right, let's build the environment for him to live in this song.
Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón. Estar contigo todo el día es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi. Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón. Estar contigo todo el día es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la.
So the play verb just added a little bit of liveliness to the sound. I don't think I want to add any delays or anything like that. I don't want to muddy up the mix. I like how clean his vocal is, and I feel like that's what he did. So all I did was add a little plate verb just to make it feel a little bit more lively, and that's it.
Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón. Estar contigo todo el. Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón. Estar contigo todo el día es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos la cita.
All right, let's attack these ad-libs. I'm cool on the lead.
El don. Que me ponga un reggaetón. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos la cita. Y si el vacío sigues contigo, pues mejor. Agarrado de la mano tuyo.
Este verano.
Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos la cita. Y si el vacío sigues contigo, pues mejor. Agarrado de la mano tuyo.
Este verano. Lo digo de antes.
So I'm compressing it. I'm compressing it a lot. And that I'm compressing a lot because I want it to not disturb that lead, but I wanted you to know it's there. So I'm really squeezing it so I can put it somewhere and go chill right here and don't disrupt that lead vocal. And I'm making it less dynamic so that my lead vocal can also feel more dynamic as well. I've been doing that lately with ad-libs, just kind of squeezing them a little bit more than the lead.
Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos la cita. Y si el vacío ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos la cita. Y si el vacío sigues contigo, pues mejor. Agarrado de la.
Now that ad-lib is behind the vocal, messing with the early reflections, Black Vortex. You already know. I'll leave a link in the description below.
Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos la cita.
Bom, 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 pa' la playa, bom, 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 bom.
Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón. Estar contigo todo el día.
All right, cool. Now let's go to the lead vocal of Miguel, and let's start to get Miguel in place. So yeah, let's get Miguel tight. I already know some resonance. I'm hearing like in a 500, 300 hertz range.
Este verano. Lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano. Hay que ser.
I'm gonna mute his harmonies right now because I don't want that to interfere with me with his lead.
Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano. Hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde para el trabajo. Tírame el dembow, que lo bailamos donde quiera. Este verano es para formar la escena. Sol caliente con toda mi gente, con aguardiente para el ambiente. Bom, 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 dale, sigue bombón. Un poco de agua para el calentón. Con mi combo sigo gozando y con mi gente sigo celebrando.
So already hear what I want to do. I want to clean up some of his low mids, his lows, and then I really want to give more to his high end and stuff like that. So I'm just balancing it out.
Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde para el trabajo. Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano.
That resonance is there. I feel it and hear it.
Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano. Hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde para el trabajo. Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano. Hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde para el trabajo. Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano.
Now that I've turned that and got some, turned down that resonance that I'm hearing, I'm going to turn up the vocal to compensate for that volume I lost.
Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano. Hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo.
It's kind of like a tricky way to EQ something where it's like, now that I've turned this down, right? This low down a little bit. Now what happens is when I turn it up, I'm turning up and you're hearing more of the high energy and high end stuff. And it's kind of giving you a little bit more cut on it because now I've compensated for that and I've been able to turn it up. So it's like a really tricky way to kind of EQ something and get more high end without actually boosting the actual high end itself in it. Even though you kind of are because you're just raising the gain and turning that down. But if you can wrap your head around that, it should, I hope it makes sense.
Este verano.
Now there's just a little nasty little that I want to get rid of within it, and then I can actually turn up the high end. So I can't turn up the high end until I kind of hone in on that.
Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano.
I don't like that sound.
Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano. Hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde para el trabajo. Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano. Hay que ser puntual, con eso.
There's one other frequency that's bothering me. It's somewhere in like the 600, 700.
Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano. Hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde para el trabajo. Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano. Hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde para el trabajo. Tírame el dembow, que lo bailamos donde quiera. Este verano es para formar la escena. Sol caliente con toda mi gente, con aguardiente para el ambiente. Bom, 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 dale, sigue bombón. Un poco de agua para el calentón. Con mi combo sigo gozando.
Massive difference.
Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano. Hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde para el trabajo. Tírame el dembow, que lo bailamos donde quiera. Este verano es para formar la escena. Sol caliente con todo.
Cleans things up a bit. I'm enjoying that. I'm cool. What's that? Just 2 plugins on that. Now what I'm gonna do is I am going to I want to bring up that high end, but not yet. I'd want to apply a little bit of compression. It just depends on what compression type of compressor I have. I like the 76 on Cardi's vocals. I think that it'll work on his too, just to give me a little bit more control, but not really control, but more or less lift the bottom up a little bit. Lift the quiet stuff up a little bit.
Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde pa'l trabajo. Tírame el dembow, que lo bailamos donde quiera. Este verano es para formar la escena. Sol caliente con toda mi gente, con aguardiente para el ambiente. Bom, 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 dale, sigue bombón. Un poco de agua para el calentón. Con mi combo sigo gozando y con mi gente sigo celebrando. Bom, 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 dale, sigue bombón. Un poco de agua para el calentón. Tírame una fría que tengo una sequía. Si estoy contigo es buena compañía. Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano.
Now I want to hone in on that tucked frequency that I'm hearing, like in that low mids energy of his vocal, and I want to open it up because I feel like it's tucked. Like once again, kind of like Kardec's vocal, it's just a tucked sound that I'm like, where's that tuckness coming from that I feel like is preventing it from really enveloping the way I want. One sec.
Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde pa'l trabajo. Tírame el dembow, que lo bailamos donde quiera. Este verano es para formar la escena. Sol caliente con toda mi gente, con aguardiente para el ambiente. Bom, 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 dale, sigue bombón. Un poco. Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde pa'l trabajo. Tírame el dembow. Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde pa'l trabajo. Tírame el dembow, que lo bailamos donde quiera. Este verano es para formar la escena. Sol caliente con toda mi gente, con aguardiente para el ambiente. Bom, 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 dale, sigue bombón. Un poco de agua para el calentón. Con mi combo.
And I know that's crazy because obviously we took some of that stuff out and stuff like that. But from a compression standpoint, I just felt like it felt very tucked in that range, and it was bothering me. Kind of makes the vocal feel phasey, if that makes any sense. Like something's missing. So this kind of just helps me to like get body in a vocal without doing like a static EQ move of just raising all of that stuff. It's transients. It's just me increasing the excitement in that range for the most part, and it has an effect that I really like. And yeah, it kind of makes the vocal feel a little bit more stable. If that makes any sense.
Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde pa'l trabajo. Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde. Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde pa'l trabajo. Tírame el dembow, que lo bailamos donde quiera. Este verano es para formar la escena. Sol caliente con toda mi gente, con aguardiente para el ambiente. Bom, 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 dale, sigue bombón. Un poco de agua para...
Pásame la fría, dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime a cuánto.
Lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no Lo digo de antemano, soy bacano.
That's a crazy difference.
Lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual.
So now what I want to do is put a little. Do I need to? Let me see something.
Gozando todos los días, tú tienes la combi con...
Lo digo de antemano, soy bacano.
I'm not mad at his high end much. Let me just put a little de-esser on and then I might drive into that. 1 second.
Lo digo de antemano, soy bacano.
There's still a frequency that's pissing me off in here in the high end. And in the high end, it is making me mad. I've never used split EQ to get rid of something like that. So I'm not going to try today. No, I'm going to try today. 1 second. Let me go back to my spec craft. There's a little frequency that's it's annoying me in the high end. Before I boost this high end, I really want to get rid of that. Or just tame it.
Lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy no, hay que ser puntual con eso. Yo no relajo. Me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde pa'l trabajo. Tírame el dembow que lo bailamos donde quiera. Este verano es para formar la escena. Sol caliente con toda mi gente. Aguardiente para el ambiente. Bom, 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 dale, sigue bombón. Un poco de agua para el calentón. Con mi combo sigo gozando. Y con mi gente sigo celebrando. Bom, 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 dale, sigue bombón. Un poco de agua para el calentón. Tírame una fría que tengo una sequía. Si estoy contigo es buena compañía. Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano. Hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde pa'l trabajo. Con mi bom 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 pa' la playa bom 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 bom. En este verano esto se formó. Bom 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 pa' la playa bom 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 bom.
Agarrado de la mano tuyo.
Este verano.
So I kind of want to match that energy between them. I feel like in that 100 hertz range, I feel like I'm going to add a little bit of that into Kardec's vocal now.
Este verano.
Los días tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos la cita. Que sigue el vacío. Y es contigo, pues mejor. Agarrado de la mano tuyo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Todo vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime pásame la fría. Todo vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos la cita. Que sigue el vacilo. Si es contigo, pues mejor. Agarrado de la mano tuyo.
Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no
mejor, agarrado de la mano tuyo.
Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde pa'l
mejor, agarrado de la mano tuyo.
Este
Just want to tame this a little bit. That high end on his vocal, I don't. There's like a nastiness on his vocal. I'm like, stop it.
Mejor, agarrado de la mano tuyo.
Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo.
Mejor, agarrado de la mano tuyo.
No, me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde pa'l trabajo. Tírame el dembow que lo bailamos donde quiera. Este verano es para formar la escena. Sol caliente con toda mi gente. Con aguardiente para el ambiente. Bom, 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 dale, sigue bombón. Un poco de agua para el calentón. Con mi combo sigo gozando. Y con mi gente sigo celebrando. Bom, 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 dale, sigue bombón. Un poco de agua para el calentón. Tírame una fría que tengo una sequía. Si estoy contigo es buena compañía. Este verano, digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual.
So I'm going to raise Miguel's delay and reverb a little bit to kind of match this the volume that it was before somewhat. So Miguel effects. And I'm going to raise that a little.
Lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual. Con eso yo no relajo. Me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde pa'l trabajo. Tírame el dembow, que lo bailamos donde quiera. Este verano.
We're going to listen to his original.
Tírame el dembow, que lo bailamos donde quiera. Tírame el dembow, que lo bailamos donde quiera. Este verano es para fama. Tírame el dembow, que lo bailamos donde quiera. Este verano es para formar la escena. Sol caliente con toda mi gente, con aguardiente para el ambiente. Bom, 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 dale, sigue bombón. Un poco de agua para el calentón. Con mi combo sigo gozando y con mi gente sigo celebrando. Bom, 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 dale, sigue bombón. Un poco de agua para el calentón. Tírame una fría que tengo una sequía. Si estoy contigo es buena compañía. Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual. Con eso yo no relajo. Me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde pa'l trabajo. Con mi bom 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 pa' la playa bom 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 bom.
Just want to add a little depth to his vocal.
Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano. Lo digo de...
All right, let's attack these ad-libs. I got to be real careful because there's already reverb on them.
Me voy pa' la playa, me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde pa'l trabajo. Tírame el dembow, que lo bailamos donde quiera. Este verano es para formar la escena. Sol caliente con toda mi gente, con aguardiente para el ambiente. Bom, 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 dale.
Definitely want compression on that because that dynamically I don't like how that is. So I'm going to definitely add some compression to these ad-libs.
Me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde pa'l trabajo. Tírame el dembow, que lo bailamos donde quiera. Este verano es para formar la escena. Sol caliente con toda mi gente, con aguardiente para el ambiente. Bom, 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 dale, sigue bombón. Un poco de agua para el calentón. Con mi combo sigo gozando y con mi gente sigo celebrando. Bom, 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 dale, sigue bombón. Un poco de ajo. Me voy pa' la playa y ajo. Me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde pa'l trabajo. Tírame el dembow, que lo bailamos donde quiera. Este verano es para formar la escena. Sol caliente con toda mi gente, con aguardiente para el ambiente. Bom, 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 dale, sigue bombón. Un poco de agua para el calentón. Con mi combo sigo gozando y con mi gente sigo celebrando. Bom, 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 dale, sigue bombón. Un poco de agua para el calentón. Tírame una fría que tengo una sequía. Si estoy contigo es buena compañía. Este verano toda mi gente, con aguardiente para el ambiente. Bom, 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 dale, sigue bombón. Un poco de agua para toda mi gente, con aguardiente para toda mi gente, con aguardiente para el ambiente. Toda mi gente, con aguardiente para el, toda mi gente, con aguardiente, toda mi gente, con aguardiente, toda mi gente, con aguardiente, toda mi gente, con aguardiente para el, toda mi gente, con aguardiente para el ambiente. Bom, 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 dale, sigue bombón. Un poco de agua para el calentón. Con mi combo sigo gozando y con mi gente sigo celebrando. Bom, 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 dale, sigue bombón. Un poco de agua para el calentón. Tírame una fría que tengo una sequía. Si estoy contigo es buena compañía. Este verano, lo digo de antemano.
Now we're going to black vortex that to make that ad-lib feel a little further behind the vocal instead of being so upfront like that.
Este verano, lo digo de este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo, me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde para el trabajo, tírame el dembow que lo con aguardiente para el ambiente, con aguardiente para el ambiente, con aguardiente para el ambiente. Bom, 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 dale, sigue bombón. Un poco de agua para el calentón. Con mi combo sigo gozando y con mi gente sigo celebrando. Bom, 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 dale, sigue bombón. Un poco de agua para el calentón. Tírame una fría que tengo una sequía. Si estoy contigo es buena compañía.
Now to add a little bit more depth to it, I'm going to add a little quarter note delay to give you that perception of it's falling back. 1 second.
Con aguardiente para el ambiente. Bom, 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 dale, sigue.
Definitely adds a little bit of depth to the record. If you want to know what the black vortex did, this is what it did without first. Just gives it a little bit more sense of space, and it kind of makes, it's manipulating early reflection, so it kind of makes things feel with your ear like it's a little further back than it actually is. It's fun plugin.
Con aguardiente para el ambiente. Bom, 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 dale, sigue bombón. Un poco de agua para el calentón. Dale, sigue bombón. Un poco de agua para el calentón. Tírame una fría que tengo una sequía. Si estoy contigo es buena compañía. Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no. Lo digo de antemano. Lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano. Lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual. Lo digo de antemano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual. Lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano. Lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano.
Just tighten it up, made the attack a little faster, made the release a little slower to hold it.
Lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde para el trabajo. Con mi bom, 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 pa' la playa, bom, bom, bom.
All right, let's bring that harmony in now.
Lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano.
Okay, so very kind of similar to the lead as far as what I feel like needs to be done. So I'm going to copy some of my processing over.
Lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano. Lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano. Lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano. Lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano. Ay, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano. Lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano.
I'm going to leave that tuck sound how it is just so it stays underneath that vocal and not outshine it. Just a high end, I feel like I just want to kind of attack a little bit, which I did here, but I might do it twice. I'm a bad person for that.
Lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano. Lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano. Lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano. Lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano. Lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano. Lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano.
Just really was hating that sound, and that's piling on top of the lead vocal, so I'm like, no.
Lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano. Hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde para el trabajo. Tírame el dembow, que lo bailamos donde quiera. Este verano Sol caliente con toda mi gente, con aguardiente para el ambiente. Bom, 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 dale, sigue bom, bom. Un poco de agua para el cal.
I just want to take some more of that low mid kind of energy out of it because it is adding too much for me.
Lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano. Lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano. Lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano. Hay que ser puntual.
That is helping the lead vocal stay weighty because I feel like the harmony was adding a lot of weight into the lead vocal sound, which was nice. But then when the harmony was gone, it perceived the lead vocal to feel thin. And I was like, no, I don't want that. I want it to still feel weighty. So I was like, let me take some of that out so that the contrast is a little better when it's not, the harmony's not there.
Lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano. Hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde para el trabajo. Lo digo de antemano. Lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano. Hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde para el trabajo.
All right, let's get this low octave, these 2 low octaves in, and then we should be good with vocals.
Bom, 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 bom. En este verano esto se formó. Bom, 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 bom. Pa' la playa, bom, bom. Bom, 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 bom. Bom, 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 bom. En este verano esto se formó. Bom, 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 bom. Pa' la playa, bom, bom. Bom, 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 bom. Bom, 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 bom. En este verano esto se formó. Bom, 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 bom. Pa' la playa, bom, bom. Bom, 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 bom.
Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón, estar contigo todo.
Bam, 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 bam. En este verano esto se formó. Bam, 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 bam. Pa' la playa, bam, bam. Bam, 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 bam.
I just want to get rid of that whiny high end.
Bam, 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 bam. En este verano esto se formó. Bam, 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 bam. Pa' la playa, bam, bam. Bam, bam, bam. Bam, 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 bam. En este verano esto se formó. Bam, 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 bam. Bom, 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 bom. Pa' la playa, bom, bom. Bom, 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 bom. Bom, 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 bom. En este verano esto se formó. Bom, 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 bom. Pa' la playa, bom, bom. Bom, 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 bom. Bom, 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 bom. En este verano esto se formó. Bom, 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 bom. En este verano esto se formó. Bom, 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 bom. Bom, 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 bom.
Sigue bailando, sigue gozando.
All right, let's just give it a little attack to this. I'm not going to do much to this. I just want to dip out some of the lows on it a little.
Sigue bailando, sigue gozando.
I can literally hear it rumbling in my sub a little bit. Well, not my sub, sorry. I can hear it rumbling in my woofer. I don't have my sub on. No, my sub's not on.
Sigue bailando, sigue gozando.
Bom, bom,
Bailando, sigue
Bom, bom, bom,
gozando.
bom, llegó el don.
bom, 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 bom.
Bailando, sigue
Bom, bom, bom,
gozando.
bom.
Bom, 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 bom.
Bailando, sigue
Bom, bom, bom,
gozando.
bom, llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón, estar contigo todo el día. Es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame.
Bom, 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 bom.
Bailando, sigue
Bom, bom, bom,
gozando.
bom, llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón.
Bom, 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 bom.
Bailando, sigue
Bom, bom, bom,
gozando.
bom, llegó.
Bom, bom.
Sigue bailando, sigue gozando. Sigue bailando, sigue gozando.
Just the boxiness that I want to get rid of.
Sigue bailando, sigue gozando. 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 Sigue bailando, sigue gozando.
Bom, 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 bom.
Bailando, sigue
Bom, bom, bom,
gozando.
bom, llegó el.
Bom, 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 bom.
Bailando, sigue
Bom, bom, bom,
gozando.
bom, llegó el.
All right, let's compress it a little bit just to bring it up a bit. And I don't mind it having a little bit of like compression with presence. So I am going to go to my 76. Again, I ain't gonna lie, 76 been working in this one.
Llegó el llegó el don, que me ponga un reggaetón, esa llegó el don, que me ponga un reggaetón, estar contigo. Llegó el don, que me ponga un reggaetón, estar contigo todo el día, es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría, dos vacilón gozando todos los días.
All right, I'm cool. Yeah, I think it's time for a break. I feel good. Let me look at my loudness. I got a feeling that I am loud as hell, ain't I?
Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo, me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde para el trabajo, tírame el dembow, que lo bailamos donde quiera.
Okay, I'm pretty loud now. I am gonna listen to something.
Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo, me voy pa' la...
Just backed off of my limiting about a dB just to get me back down to like 2 dB. So I lost about 2 dB of 1 dB of headroom, inflating all of those vocals and stuff like that, which I'm cool with. It wasn't a big deal, but I was just like, let's back off of my limiter just a little bit. I can go back. It wasn't sounding too bad with you know, with the 2 dB of limiting on this one limiter, but I'm just keeping myself in check for the most part.
Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano. Este verano, lo digo de antemano. Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo, me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde para el trabajo. Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano.
Feeling good already. Just for 2 dB of limiting, I like that. Yeah, so I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna walk away, and then we'll come back. Yeah, I'm gonna walk away for a second. Test. Okay. Yeah, I'm crunching on some pomegranates. It's a good break. Because that was a lot of mixing with the vocals. Okay, cool. Let's go to some instruments now.
Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo, me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde para el trabajo, tírame el de... Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Voy pa' la playa y... No es para formar la escena, sol caliente con toda mi gente, con aguardiente.
Trying to identify what certain things, trying to identify some things. 1 second.
Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo, me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde para el trabajo, tírame el dembow que... Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo.
turning up the instruments some more to kind of match my reference, my rough.
Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo, me voy pa' la playa y llego.
Okay, cool. Feel it. I can hear it really well. Now let's get to it. Reverse pad.
Verano, lo digo.
I'm going to move a little bit of that 300 to the sides a bit and open it up just to widen it and let it surround things a little bit more. It's a pad, so it's very subtle in what you hear, but the feeling of it to me is more important. Not more important, but very important. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to throw some side information into that pad in like that 300 hertz range. That's a cool way for me to add width. Just going to like certain specific frequency ranges and kind of saying, okay, we'll open you up, pull a little more 300 of that into the into the sides.
Verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo.
Just cutting a little bit of mid information from it for my vocal wise, just to save room.
Verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo, me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde para el trabajo. Verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Con eso yo no relajo, me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde para el trabajo. Tírame el dembow, que lo bailamos donde quiera. Este verano es para formar la escena. Sol caliente con toda mi gente. Con agua. Verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy
Looking for where I can really hear that sim chord, that wow, wow. Like I want to hear what frequency range I can saturate to get it more heard, as far as like, okay, there's where the voice of it is. Shout out Jesse Ray Ernster for putting my brain onto that and bringing that out some more.
Verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo, me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde para el trabajo. Verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo, me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde para el trabajo. Temprano, hay que verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo, me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde.
Cool on that. This I want to have fun with.
Me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde para el trabajo.
center focus. So check this out. Before this is running through my 4-auxment technique. Before it felt really wide, kind of, you know, really wide sounding and kind of like out of phase, which actually, let me see, I was very suspicious of its phase. Let me see what the phase looks like. Right. It sounded out of phase to me, and it is out of phase. So now what I'm doing is I'm adding more center to it to give it a little bit more of a focused sound. This is going to help it to be heard more, to be honest, because when it's out of phase like that, sometimes I feel like it's really hard to hear. Sometimes it's fine, but in this case, I was like, why can't I hear that? I was struggling to hear it, and it's out of phase. That's not the main reason, that's not the only reason, but it's one of the reasons why I feel like I couldn't really intelligibly like just understand that particular sound, that muted guitar. So yeah, added a little center focus. It's literally a mono parallel compressed version of it that's just going up the center, and that's why I can hear it a lot better now. See how before it just sounds like a whole hole is missing in the center? That's how sometimes I'll suspect like something is really out of phase, when I feel like there's an entire hole missing in the entire thing. Kind of brings things together now, like focus.
Verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo, me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde para el trabajo, tírame el dembow, que lo bailamos donde quiera, este verano es para formar la escena, oh, que lo bailamos. Que lo bailamos donde quiera, oh, que lo bailamos donde quiera, este verano, oh, que lo bailamos donde quiera, este verano es para formar la escena, sol caliente con toda mi gente, con aguardiente para el ambiente.
This is me bringing some transients back into the sound itself as far as that piano. Kind of like uncompressing the sound a little bit because I feel like it was a bit tucked, and I was like, I think I can get more heard out of it if I just pretty much try to undo the compression that I'm hearing on it.
Oh, que lo bailamos donde quiera, este verano es para formar la escena, sol caliente con toda mi gente, con aguardiente para el ambiente. Oh, que lo bailamos donde quiera, este verano es para formar la escena, sol caliente con toda mi gente, con aguardiente para el ambiente. Bom, 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 dale sigue bom, bom, un poco de agua para el calentón, con mi combo sigo gozando, y con mi gente sigo celebrando. Bom, 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 dale sigue bom, bom, un poco de agua para el calentón, tírame una fría que tengo una sequía, si estoy contigo es buena compañía. Este verano, oh, que lo bailamos donde quiera, este verano es para formar la escena, sol caliente con toda mi gente, con aguardiente para el ambiente. Bom, 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 dale sigue bom, bom, oh, que lo bailamos donde quiera, este verano es para formar la escena, sol caliente con toda mi gente, con aguardiente para el ambiente. Bom, 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 dale sigue bom, bom, un poco de agua para el...
I like where it's at in comparison to the ref.
Oh, que lo bailamos donde quiera, este verano. Oh, que lo bailamos donde quiera, este verano.
Already cutting through a little bit more. I'm cool. Nothing else I want to do to that. Just kind of uncompress it a little bit. Now let me listen to this sound here.
De verano, lo digo de antes. Con eso yo no relajo, me voy pa' la bom 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 pa' la playa bom 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 bom.
It's far back in the mix. I just want to hear it a little bit. Call me crazy. I just want to hear it just a little bit. 1 second.
Bom 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 esto se formó. Bom, 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 pa' la playa, bom, 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 bom.
So I used my 4 Oxman technique just to add a little bit transient information to it. So just adds a little bit more transient information to it.
Bom, 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 pa' la playa, bom, 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 bom. En este verano esto se formó. Bom, 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 pa' la playa, bom, 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 bom.
Bom, 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 llegó el
Nice, it's nice and subtle, not too much. Back it up just a little bit.
Bom, 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 pa' la playa, bom, 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 bom. En este verano esto se formó. Bom, 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 pa' la playa, bom, 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 bom.
bom, 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 llegó.
Bom, 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 bom.
Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes... Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos la cita. Y sigue el vacilo, si es contigo, pues mejor. Agarrado de la mano tú y yo.
Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo.
Feel good. Feel really good. Let me just do one more thing to Miguel's vocal. Something in his vocal is bothering me just a little bit.
Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Me voy pa' la playa y llego. Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no. Lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde pa'l trabajo. Lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde pa'l... Lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde pa'l trabajo. Lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Me voy pa' la playa y llego. Lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde pa'l trabajo. Con mi bom 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 pa' la playa bom 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 bom. En este verano esto se formó. Bom 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 pa' la playa bom 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 bom. Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual. Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Este verano, lo digo de antemano. Este verano, este verano, este verano.
So something in the low lows was just getting. I was like, I hear it's a little rumbly. I want to compensate for it though, because I like the warmth I was getting, but it was just a little too much stuff. So I'm gonna compensate for that a little bit by boosting right above where I cut.
Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Me voy pa' la playa y llego.
Bom, 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 llegó el don.
Bom, 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 bom.
Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón, estar contigo.
I'm gonna make a similar move on Kardic's vocal.
Bom, 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 bom. Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón, estar contigo todo el día. Es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos la cita. Que sigue el vacío, si es contigo, pues mejor. Agarrado de la mano tú y yo.
Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde pa'l trabajo. Tírame el dembow, que lo bailamos donde quiera. Este verano es para formar la escena. Sol caliente con toda mi gente, con aguardiente para el ambiente. Bom, 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 dale, sigue bombón. Un poco de agua para el calentón. Con mi combo sigo gozando y con mi gente sigo celebrando. Bom, 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 dale, sigue bombón. Un poco de agua para el calentón. Tírame una fría que tengo una sequía. Si estoy contigo es buena compañía. Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bom, 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 pa' la playa, bom, 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 bom.
Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón, estar contigo todo el día. Es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos la cita. Que sigue el vacío, si es contigo, pues mejor. Agarrado de la mano tú y yo.
Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano. Bom, 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 pa' la playa, bom, 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 bom.
Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón, estar contigo todo el día. Es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos la cita. Que sigue el vacío, si es contigo, pues mejor. Agarrado de la mano tú y yo. Es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo.
That little move is doing something I don't like. 1 second.
Es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa.
Feeling like this weird phasey feeling from it. I'm taking that off. 1 second.
Es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos la cita. Que sigue el vacío, si es contigo, pues mejor. Agarrado de la mano tú y yo.
Este verano, lo digo de antemano.
Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón, estar contigo todo el día. Es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos la cita. Que sigue el vacío, si es contigo, pues mejor. Agarrado de la mano tú y yo. Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón, estar contigo todo el día. Es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos la cita. Que sigue el vacío, si es contigo, pues mejor. Agarrado de la mano tú y yo.
Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano.
Cool. Now let me listen to these sound effects. Make sure I'm good on these.
De la mano tú y yo.
Este verano, este verano, este verano. Este verano,
Tú y yo.
este verano.
with stuff like that, I'll parallel compress it just to make it feel a little bit more exciting, but I don't want it to poke out any more than it is already, to be honest. The drummer, I don't want it to poke out any more than it is already. Oh, that's where it's coming from.
Este verano, este verano, este verano, este verano,
Almost feels like he has like a little bit of a harder reverb on his or something like that. 1 second. I'm gonna, you know what I'm gonna do? I want a little bit more from that. Now that I'm listening, I'm like, you know what? Let it choomp, because I want that choomp. I want it to choomp. That makes no sense, what I said. I know.
este verano, este verano, este
Almost feels like something is missing. 1 second. I'm trying to put my ear on it. Bring up the impact that added a little bit. 1 second.
este verano,
Y es contigo, pues mejor agarrado de la mano tuyo.
este
Y es contigo, pues mejor agarrado de la mano tuyo. Y es contigo, pues mejor agarrado de la mano tuyo.
este verano,
Cool with that. I don't want to raise that impact sound kind of too much because then it's going to take away from the actual chorus to me. So I'm just like, be easy with it. But I did give it a little bit more impact on that part.
Mano tuyo.
este verano, lo digo de antemano,
Mano tuyo.
este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano, hay que ser este
Just going to open up that sound effect a little bit. That's it. Because it's a lot going on in that one moment. So it's like, at least I'm going to make this feel a little bit more stereo. That's it. All right, cool.
verano, este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual con este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, verano, lo digo de antemano.
I don't really even hear it. Let me listen to the ref.
Verano, lo digo de antemano,
I don't really notice it in the ref either. 1 second.
verano,
I'm not touching it. Just leave it alone. Because I don't really hear, I don't even notice it in the dang ref. So I'm going to assume that it's more of a felt thing. So I'm just going to leave it alone. And I'm not mad at it. The frequency content wise, I'm not mad at it.
verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo, me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde pa'l trabajo, tírame el dembow que lo va.
All right, let's get this drum bus. Excuse me. Let's get this mix bus in tight. Lock it in. Get it tight. And we're pretty much done with the mix. All right. first thing I'm gonna do is add my MB. And what my MB does is, and I got this trick from Luca Predalesi, and like I said, I'm still investigating this MB in general. But long story short, going to compress the mids just a little bit and give me a little bit more perceived volume. Just got to get a little controlled, but bump it up a little bit. So it's going to give me a little bit of perceived volume from a loudness standpoint. Then I'm going to also excite the high end a little bit with reacting to the sides. And just make it feel a little bit more exciting. And then I'm gonna get a tiny little pop on the kick for the most part. And that's it. This is like that final taste of like excitement and dynamics that I'm like, okay, let's control things a little bit, but let's also give it a little, just kind of like a push and pull with dynamics and excitement. So we're gonna try that right quick. 1 second.
Verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Bacano, me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde para el trabajo. Verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Me voy pa' la playa.
It gives me just a little bit, like it's so slight what it gave me. Next thing I'm going to do is I am going to open up master plan. I got to get off of this beta. I got to get the full one. I'm tripping. I got a bunch of sessions and this thing is not going to work one day and I'm going to be sick. All right. I'm going to open it up. So I'm just going to open things up a little bit. There was something in particular. Oh, I forgot. I'm already forgetting something. Speccraft. 1 second. I was like, Speccraft. 1 second.
Lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde para el trabajo. Tírame el dembow. Lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde para el trabajo. Tírame el dembow, que lo bailamos donde verano. Lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde para el trabajo. Tírame el dembow, que lo bailamos donde quiera. Este verano es para formar la escena. Sol caliente con toda mi gente, con aguardiente para el ambiente. Bom, 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 dale, sigue bombón. Un poco de agua para el calentón. Con mi combo sigo gozando y con mi gente sigo celebrando. Bom, 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 dale, sigue bombón. Un poco de agua para el calentón. Tírame una fría que tengo una sequía. Si estoy contigo es buena compañía. Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo.
1 second, having an issue. What is going on? What are you doing? It is, 1 second, sorry. Sometimes that happens when my internet drops out. Okay, there we go.
Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano, me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Me voy pa' la playa y llego
Llegó el don, que me ponga un reggaetón, estar contigo todo el día, es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría, dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita, solo dime cuándo y hacer.
Opens the mix up just a little bit, not too wide, but just kind of opens things up a bit.
Llegó el don, que me ponga un reggaetón, estar contigo todo el día, es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría, vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita.
Same song. That's the rough versus what we got right now. So I'm feeling pretty good. I am going to now. Already applied that. Already did this. I'm gonna see if the soft clip just a little bit in the middle, just to see if it gives me a little bit more of a push forward, and then I'll be done.
Llegó el don, que que me ponga un reggaetón. Estar contigo todo el día es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos la cita. Que sigue el vacío, si es contigo, pues mejor. Agarrado de la mano tú y yo.
Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde pa'l trabajo. Tírame el dembow, que lo bailamos donde quiera. Este verano es para...
I'm gonna play it loud one time for myself. I feel like I'm pretty good. I mean, that in comparison to the rough that's night and day. Listen to this intro alone.
Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano. Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo...
Massive difference, dog. All right, let's listen to this one time loud.
Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde pa'l trabajo. Con mi bom 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 pa' la playa bom 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 bom. En este verano esto se formó. Bom 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 pa' la playa bom 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 bom.
Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón. Estar contigo todo el día es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos la cita. Que sigue el vacío, si es contigo, pues mejor. Agarrado de la mano tú y yo.
Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde pa'l trabajo. Tírame el dembow, que lo bailamos donde quiera. Este verano es para formar la escena. Sol caliente con toda mi gente, con aguardiente para el ambiente. Bom, 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 dale sigue bom, bom. Un poco de agua para el calentón. Con mi combo sigo gozando y con mi gente sigo celebrando. Bom, 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 dale sigue bom, bom. Un poco de agua para el calentón. Tírame una fría que tengo una sequía. Si estoy contigo es buena compañía. Este verano, lo digo de antemano, soy bacano. Me voy temprano, hay que ser puntual, con eso yo no relajo. Me voy pa' la playa y llego tarde pa'l trabajo. Con mi bom 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 pa' la playa bom 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 bom. En este verano esto se formó. Bom 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 pa' la playa bom 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 bom.
Ya, ya, ya. El cuentito lindo. Soy Calderón.
Nos fuimos ahora. Miga, Sandre.
I feel great. Cardex's vocal, I just wanted to turn up a little bit. Let me listen to that one last time.
Bom, 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 llegó el don. Que me ponga un reggaetón. Estar contigo todo el día es lo que quiero yo. Ábreme la nevera, pásame la fría. Dos vacilón gozando todos los días. Tú tienes la combi completa, mamita. Solo dime cuándo y hacemos la...
Yeah, I feel great. So yeah, I feel really good. I am going to be done with this, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make sure that the client listens to it. I'm gonna listen to it myself, get notes, revisions, and then after that I'll kind of add a little bit more automation to things. Like I'll kind of turn up like the chorus, maybe half a dB for impact reasons, and yeah, just do like the little things to really send it over the top. Was there something in particular that I was thinking about? I forgot. There was something in particular I was thinking about. Yeah, the limiting, I'm good. I don't want to limit it anymore. I like the dynamics. I don't feel like I need to force it to be louder than it needs to be. So I'm cool. So I hope you enjoyed that. Make sure you comment, like, and subscribe. I really appreciate y'all watching this video. I hope that you found something interesting. that maybe you could use for yourself. And I hope you enjoy the sound so far. This isn't the final mix because obviously corrections and stuff I'm sure they're going to be. But yeah, just hope you're enjoying the sound of it and hope that it gave you something. And that's it. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe. I really appreciate you. Until next time, y'all.